What makes me optimistic? Well, everything makes me optimistic. I think, we're really living in quite an exciting time and an exciting life. What makes me really optimistic is youth. I think, I've got a teenage son, and the way that they're brought up, and I'm not sure why or how this has happened, but the way they've brought up, go through the education system to be thinking about their impact on the future, their impact as a person, as a much more a holistic person, rather than just focusing on your literacy and numeracy, which I think was my education experience much more. I think if they're, as young teenagers thinking about the future now, what are they going to be like as adults actually implementing the crazy innovation and change that they're dreaming up? So I think we're in for an exciting future.
Well, thank you for that, Jenny. Ian, what makes you optimistic?
Look, I think it's the opportunity to wake up every day knowing that you've got a chance to change lives, either through Rotary or in our case through the Bendigo Community Banks, or in my case specifically in working in aged care. We have that amazing opportunity every day to affect people's lives, and I think that's fantastic.
And the interesting science says you actually become more optimistic as you age. You understand that, things happen, shit happens in life, and you get up the next morning and the sun still rises.
Yep.
Sula, what makes you optimistic?
Well, I would say, like Noirin, I'm probably not naturally optimistic. And I think I have to try really hard to be, and I actually don't sleep. So probably that's a sign there that I'm a stress bag. I don't ask my partner, I don't sleep. But I think for me, like you pick my lipstick, like I love to get up every day and I'm on Zoom and I've always put lipstick on. My girlfriends go, that's at start to our day. We like to feel good, put on our lipstick, and that's just, that's just the start to our optimism. Like, as long as you've got good lipstick on Zoom, you're fine. And so, but for me, it's about adding value to adding value to life, my family, my work, my friends. And I love to add value. I like to be, I'm the person everyone turns to, and I give advice to everyone. So I'm that home person, that homebody. So I love that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Glenn, may I ask you what makes you optimistic?
Apart from having 4 grandchildren and one due in a week, one thing that comes to mind, I've always been optimistic and I've always enjoyed life, but I can remember I used to travel overseas, and whenever I was overseas, I used to say, I wish I was home. And when I'd come home, I'd say, I wish I was overseas. One day I said to myself, stop wishing to be somewhere else. Yeah. Just enjoy where you are now. And ever since that day, I've found life has been great, because I wake up now and say, I'm not overseas, I'm home and I love being here. And then when I'm overseas, I say, it's great, I love overseas, I'm happy to be there. So that's just,
Catherine Misson, the head of Melbourne Girls Grammar, who's now teaching in Canada, said, looking at life through the eyes of a child. So having grandchildren, it's that wonderful opportunity to revisit looking at life through the eyes of a child. Merv, you're wearing our orange, so we assume you're an optimist. What makes you optimistic?
I don't really know what makes me optimistic. My whole working career, I've loved everything I do. Rotary, I've been in that for too many years to remember. The friends that you make, and over all of that, my very optimistic wife.
Well, you've hit the jackpot there. Wally, may we ask you what makes you optimistic?
I enjoy life to the fullest, and I'm a dreamer. Dream up all ideas, and some of those things I put into action, and people say it's not going to work. And I said, you don't know me, I'll make it work, and it does work. And I've been in the people business for a long time as a Christian minister of religion. So some of my ideas, congregations got behind me, and it works, but I enjoy life.
Yeah, our most popular web page from Google searches is that Mother Julian page. Our second favourite page is a Marxist, Gramsci, who was imprisoned by Mussolini, who said, pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will. And then our third most popular page is Christian verses for optimism. So, yeah, you've nailed that, spirituality. And we did a wonderful event that Ian joined us last week for Jewish Care. You know, and the rabbi gave the most beautiful blessing I've ever had for optimism. And so, yeah, so spirituality is a wonderful underpinning. Jeff, may we ask you what makes you optimistic?
I'm like Sue, I like putting lipstick on each morning.
It's worn off. Have you been kissing someone?
Oh,
Yeah, Jan's just coming back in now, I think. But it's an old person's kiss these days rather than a young person's. Now I'm a bit like Ian. I think I get a kick out of community and what we can do within community, both with Rotary and also the Bendigo Bank. But your point about grandchildren are really great because they've got a resilience and an innocence about them that is not negative. It's positive, and it's a great environment to be involved with your grandchildren and your own children. So, Victor, that's what I do these days. I no longer am corporate, but I think having been, I'm now 77 years old, and I realise the point you made earlier that as you get older and as you begin to understand that it's not all about you, it's all about others, that you become a better person.
I mean, that is just so beautiful. Thank you. David, may we ask you what makes you optimistic?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm optimistic because I really do enjoy traveling the world since I was very young and meeting people and finding new opportunities. And in each of those opportunities, there's usually great people that you perhaps didn't really realise when you first got in there. And so I just enjoy meeting so many people and having such a good time. So it's good.
Yeah, that faith in people, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? Tony, can I ask you what makes you optimistic?
Okay, so I've had the privilege of spending most of my career with a leading multinational, and one of the leadership things that they taught us, part of the culture of that organisation, was all about standing in the future and standing for something bigger than yourself. And I've always taken that to heart, and that's something that really keeps me focused on optimism. But the other comment I'd make is that many years ago, I was working on an IT project with this Italian fellow, and he used to have a saying that he'd say every time something went wrong, and I still use it to this day, and I use it with my boys, particularly through these difficult times, and that is that this too shall pass.
You and Mother Julian together, Tony.
Yeah.
Malcolm, may we ask what makes you optimistic?
I think if I've done something particularly well or met a new challenge, that gives you the buzz to think you can go on and do the next challenge.
Perfect. Yeah. That opportunity and challenge, it's marvelous. Daryl, may we ask you what makes you optimistic?
Apart from enjoying my family, I have a large circle of friends and enjoy managing a number of children's programs. I'm involved with a 30-piece brass band with the salvos, and I enjoy giving happiness to people.
That is just, again, just glorious. Thank you, Daryl. Kathy, may we ask what makes you optimistic?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, my children, they make me feel optimistic. And secondly, just all the young people around the world that we see taking leadership roles on only little issues, which some are, but really big issues as well.
Yeah. We had the Nelson Mandela Youth Leadership Summit on Friday. In the last half hour, we had all these kids expressing their optimism. And the first kid said, I have faith in young people. And it was just gorgeous. Mitchell, may we ask what makes you optimistic?
Selling a house.
Mitchell, you'll have to come off
You're on mute.
Gordon and Dean, if you can unmute too. Mitchell.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Good. You may regret it now. Look, I wake up in the morning, I look out over the valley. I think I'm pretty privileged. I have a great life. I work with a lot of young people. Young people are innately positive. It's what makes life better. I think old people, and I take exception to our current members, but a lot of elderly people or elder people are a bit negative. because they don't look at how privileged we are and the life we lead, which I think is pretty great. And I think the other thing too, which a lot of the members here have told me, and I'm finding out now, there's a lot of benefits to being a grandfather. So I'm certainly seeing the benefits, and I watched my grandchildren smile at almost every moment. That's probably because they can't understand what my wife's saying to them. But no, life is pretty good, and we are incredibly lucky in this country. I mean, seriously, I mean, if you're going to choose any country, you're probably in the top 1% of the world. So I reckon we live a pretty good life.
Spot on. No, that is just beautiful. Gordon, what makes you optimistic?
A lot like what Mitchell says, there's a lot that I'm really happy about what's happened to me in my life. I think people have a default setting. And I think my default setting is to look forward with optimism rather than look back with regret. I think I got that from my mum. She's come to a lot of adversity. And I'm just happy for all the things that I've got. And I have a lot of optimism about humanity in general. We've shown over the years that we can solve problems, and you know, that skill set or that mass knowledge amongst 8 billion people is going to solve a lot of our problems. That's my optimistic outlook.
Yeah, no, it's genius. Thank you. And Dean, may I ask what makes you optimistic?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think through the work career, I generally have a bit of a philosophy here. Tomorrow will always be better, or look forward to tomorrow, learn from your mistakes and put them into action. But I suppose in my personal life, there was a hot blonde that wears red lipstick that gave me a beautiful quote. She said, "Stop living to work and start working to live." And that's probably what really pushing the travel and that perspective as well.
That's me.
That is stunning. Oh, exactly.
I'm the wife. I'm the wife.
The red lips.
Well, we hope you enjoyed those expressions of optimism from the Rotary Club of Manningham. We'd love you to share what makes you optimistic. So go to the Centre for Optimism website. You'll find thousands and thousands of expressions of optimism, and we'd love you to get involved and share yours too.